Hi, my name is Evie King, and this is my husband, John. I'm the executive director of InDependent, a nonprofit with a mission to make wellness accessible and create opportunities for military spouses to connect for friendship, accountability, and inspiration. And today, my spouse and I are going over a spouse wellness check. So as you know, we are kicking off Military Marriage Day, the second annual Military Marriage Day. And because InDependent is all about wellness, why not discuss a partner wellness check, which is actually something John and I have been doing on our anniversary, really
for a long time, yeah.
Since I can remember.
Yeah.
So I also think it's kind of important to mention we are currently in Hot Springs, Arkansas. My spouse just came back last Monday from a 415-day deployment to Afghanistan. So what better way to kick off our vacation, which is also our PCS move to Germany, so it's like every stressor you can
A lot of
think of,
transitions.
then discussing why it is important to have a partner wellness check. So there are 6 questions. The first one is, how are you feeling emotionally, physically, just in general? How are you feeling? And one of the reasons why we thought this was a really great question is because it's open-ended. It leaves the discussion open to, well, just anything,
a lot
really.
of interpretation.
Yeah,
And
a lot of interpretation.
I think a lot of times when we ask the question, how are you doing, it normally means, depending on who you are, you might be, how am I feeling physically or how am I feeling emotionally? So I think it's important to allow for all of those different factors of how you're feeling, because each one of those elements is important.
Right, exactly. And then the second question is, how can I support your well-being? And I thought this was really important because it asks the spouse and gives the spouse the opportunity to let their spouse know what they need to support, to be supportive, rather than just guessing and leaving it open to interpretation. One of the things that I think that we have done really well is communicate, this is what I need in order to feel well. So we trained for a half marathon, and before we trained for that half marathon, I was very open with John about the things that I needed from him in order for me to successfully complete this half marathon. And, you did that, and it was very, very helpful, rather than probably getting annoyed with you when
Yeah, that can be a really
stuff.
stressful time, and it's useful. I think it's useful for, to tell your spouse, this is specifically what I'm looking for. It's helpful in that way.
Right, and, if you have been following InDependent for a while, you probably know that my Sunday night bath time is a really important part of my self-care. And after communicating that with John, now he, makes sure that it happens and kind of holds me accountable, which is nice.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times we'll get caught up in our own work, and we'll forget the things that we really need to support our own well-being. And so it's good to have a partner that's accountable to make sure that you're getting that as well.
And then the next question was actually a question that you helped me wordsmith, which is, what can we change in our family's routines to support you? So why did you think that one was really important to add?
I think that one's really important because I think a lot of times, really all it takes is a small change in your weekly rhythm or your daily routine just to support that person's well-being, whether that's, within the first 15 minutes of coming home after a very long day, you get an opportunity to, take off, all the stressors of the day before engaging with the family. And that maybe that 15-minute time frame is all that's needed, instead of being extremely stressed out as soon as you come back, being given all of these new tasks and updates on what's happening with the family.
It's funny you mention that, because that is definitely something that you asked. You said, please try not, when I first come home from work, to ask me any really important questions. And I can think of 2 times when I just did not have the luxury to wait.
Right.
And yeah, those were
I think
those were tough starts to your end of work day.
And I think it's important for you or for anyone to say, you know, if we just change this thing a little bit, right? If we just change our routine in small measures or mechanisms, you know, it can pay large dividends in someone's well-being emotionally or mentally.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I think is really important is setting the stage. So I'm going to pause between the three because the next three actually are more couple related rather than individual related. But it's important to set the stage. And like I mentioned, this is something that John and I have been doing on our anniversary really since I can remember. We're about to hit 10 years this year. We always ask, you know, what went well this past year? You know, how are you feeling about our marriage? And at first it was kind of difficult. And I would say that sometimes even throughout the year, it's difficult to have those conversations, especially if one of you is not feeling supported in the marriage. It's a hard conversation to have, and the other person might not like the answer, because the whole point of this is not only just to mention the good things that are happening, but also to discuss the things that maybe one person is feeling over the other and not getting the support they need. So it can open the door to some very difficult conversations. So it's important to set the stage. You know, probably not the questions to be asking at a family reunion surrounded by a bunch of people. Maybe not in the middle of a stressful PCS, you know, with a bunch of boxes around you. Go on a walk, or maybe have a glass of wine and sit on the patio. But make sure that it's a chance that you both have to be intentional and actually be able to listen to the answers that the other person is giving you.
Right. In other words, carve out the time and be deliberate. This isn't something you want to ask in a snap manner.
Right.
And say, hey, what's going on with our marriage right now? You definitely want to make sure you set the stage for it.
While you're waiting in line somewhere. Probably not the best. So the next question is, what are some ways we can ensure we're working as a team? I really like that, especially with Military Marriage Day. There are so many times when it sometimes feels like, especially as the military spouse, I feel like I'm making all of the decisions for the household. And then John will come back. For example, John came back from the deployment, and I have made all of the decisions for our Oconus move to Germany. And he's kind of just having to accept those decisions because, well, our stuff is already on the way. And so it can sometimes feel like you're not working together as a team. So this question is really important to get to. Okay, we're not just two individuals approaching life differently, but we are a couple approaching this life together. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is kind of difficult, especially, I mean, even thinking about it from a deployment perspective. You know, you had a lot of responsibility, and you made all the decisions for the household. And now with me coming back, a lot of the things that I would normally take care of, you're just so used to for the last year making those decisions. And so I think that's a very important question to ask, to get you back into the routine of being a couple, a team, a family.
Exactly. And what is an activity that you would like us to do together?
I like this one because I think it forces you to be a little bit more creative.
Right.
And you know, it doesn't have to be a work thing. It could be anything that's fun. And what it does is it allows you to create new memories as a couple. I think there's a lot of opportunity to say, well, you know, what's an activity that you'd like to do together? And it kind of goes back to what we talked about before with what can we change in our routine? Because you might find a fun activity that maybe you hadn't explored before that now becomes something that you do more frequently together, something that you hadn't done in the past.
Right. Or maybe it's something that you did once in the past.
Right.
And one of you really, really enjoyed it and you just kind of forgot about. And you're bringing it up again and reinforcing those happy memories.
Yeah.
I like, you know, mentioned before, the half marathon thing was something that I really wanted to do individually, but then I thought, you know, why not do it together as a couple? Because at the time, John wasn't doing PT with the unit, and so it was the perfect time for us to do something like that together. And really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we did. We had a lot of
fun date every morning at 6 o'clock. And then the other thing that I really like to focus on in any sort of wellness check or conversation is reinforcing behaviors that are positive rather than focusing on what maybe the other person does that doesn't make you feel good. And so the next question we have is, what is something I did this week to make you feel loved? It's kind of like, it's so easy to say, when you did this, I felt this way, or when you don't put the dishes in the dishwasher right after you clean, right after you eat, it's really annoying, and you can focus so often on those. And then when someone does something nice for you,
it can kind of get lost in the shuffle sometimes, unless you, and I think this question is important because it's positive reinforcement, right? This specific thing,
made me feel loved.
Right.
And it might not be something that you even thought had that much of an impact on me. And going back to the bath thing, John started doing that on his own. Like, he would go, okay, I'm going to make the bath for you, and I didn't ask him to do that. And then one day I was like, I really appreciate when you do that, because it makes me feel like what I need is important to you. And then the moment I said that, I realized you started becoming more intentional about it.
Right, yeah.
Like, he would start buying bath things for me.
Right.
So that, those moments were...
Yeah, I even set an alarm.
More special. Yeah,
set an alarm like Sunday night at this time frame is the time when we start drawing the bath.
Yeah, exactly. And that was definitely something that I noticed when he was gone. I struggled with maintaining, because it did become something that was like very special. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think all of these questions are really great. They get after not only ways to strengthen your marriage and build, but also kind of reflect on the things that are positive. And that's just as important as building new bonds, is to reflect on the things that are great about the marriage that you have.
So as we kick off Military Marriage Week and Military Marriage Day this coming weekend, we hope that you'll take an opportunity, sit down with these questions with your spouse this week, or plan a time on your calendar. And I really hope that you enjoy it and that it becomes something that you start to do regularly. We regularly go to the doctor for a wellness check, and why not do the same with our marriage? So thank you so much for watching, and happy Military Marriage Day.